Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making this sweet little Christmas card. It's project number 3 in my Christmas Gleaming class to go. Check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to see what current class to go kit I'm offering. Now I'll be giving the dimensions as we go along so that you can make this card along with us in case you don't have the kit. We'll be using the Christmas Gleaming stamps and the Gleaming ornament punches, and this is sold as a bundle in the 2019 holiday catalog. I'll also be using for the inside sentiment, it says Merry Christmas, thanks for being one of my greatest gifts, and that comes from the Greatest Part of Christmas stamps. This is a host stamp set, so you can't purchase this, you can only earn it through host rewards. If you're interested in getting your own set of Greatest Part of Christmas stamps, email me at carolbcrafts@hotmail.com and I'll give you all the details on how you can get this set for yourself. But if you don't have that set, you can always use a sentiment from another set that you have on hand. We'll also be using this gorgeous Celestial Copper Delicata pigment ink. For adhesives, you'll want your mini glue dots, your Snail, and your multi-purpose glue. For your tools, you'll need some scissors, a bone folder. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool, but you can use any pointy tool that you have, and you'll need your Stamparatus. Lastly, I'll be using a 4x6 piece of window sheet to help position my stamps, and you'll need a scratch piece of paper. So let me clear all this away and we'll get started with our stamping. Now in your kit you're going to find some very vanilla pieces of cardstock and a couple of little labels here. So everything else we're going to set aside and we'll come back to this. We have these two labels, which are the smallest long rectangle. I call these the long rectangle. So this is the smallest long rectangle die in the rectangle stitched framelits dies. I'll give you 2, you only need 1. And then we have 2 pieces of very vanilla, one for the inside sentiment, which is 3.5 by 4 3/4, 3.5 by 4 3/4. That's going to go on the inside of our sentiment, inside of our card for sentiment. And then to stamp our 2 ornaments here, we have a piece that's 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. So 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. So let's get started with that. I'm just going to put that in the corner. We're going to need 2 stamps. We're going to need the stamp that has like the little square diamond shaped pattern on it, the larger ornament, and then we're going to need the smaller ornament stamp as well. Now if you're right-handed, you're going to want to put your ornament upside down. If you're left-handed, you're going to want to put your ornament facing you right side up, and that's so that when you go to punch it, it'll be easier for you. You'll have something to hold on to. So make sure I have it upside down because I'm right-handed. And I'm going to get my beautiful Celestial Copper ink, and I'm going to ink this up really good. I like to smash and dab and smash and pat, smash and pat. The smashing puts the ink on, the patting evens the ink out so that you get a nice smooth image. Okay, let's see how I did. And let's see, I'm going to lift it up gently because it likes to stick to the paper. Make sure you get it back in that corner perfectly. Now you can see that's a pretty good image. I guess I might put another just to make sure that stays put, because if it doesn't stay put, you are going to have problems. So let me make sure that's in the corner nicely and stays put. Okay, so now I'm going to ink it up again and stamp. And I think I'll do one more time It's important to use that second magnet to help keep that in place. I guess it's because it's pigment ink that it likes to stick to the cardstock, and when it sticks, it pulls the cardstock out of place. Okay, I think maybe my pad might be a little dry because I don't normally have to do it more than 3 times, but I did buy the refill, so no worries. I'll just ink it up later. All right, so there's that one. So don't touch it because it's still going to be a little wet. Pigment ink takes a little while longer to dry than regular ink. So we'll put that down. Be careful not to touch it. Don't let your ink, your magnets, looks like I just did touch it, but that's okay. I'm going to punch it anyway. So I'm going to clean this off. And a little trick that I like to use is, because this has so much of the deep impression, I like to take a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, and just kind of give it a good scrub with that. Now we're going to bring in our smaller ornament, and again we're going to turn it upside down near the bottom edge to make it easy to punch, and ink that up. So I know I'm going to have to do this at least 3 times, maybe more. Okay, so we're done with our outside sentiment. We just need to do the Merry Christmas. So I'll clean this stamp off. So these are going to dry before I punch them. I want them to be good and dry. Now we'll need our plastic sheet, our 4x6 plastic sheet. We're going to put it landscape in our top right corner. Get this here all set there. That's better. Now we're going to bring in our Merry Christmas. Make sure it's in the right direction. And we're going to ink that up just enough to see where the image is going to stamp. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to get my scratch paper, one of my labels, and my snail, and just put it on the back, a tiny bit of snail. Attach it to my scratch paper. Now I can slide this underneath. Be sure not to move your plastic, and line it up. When you're happy with it, just remove the plastic and put these in place. Ink up your stamp again. Okay, we have our Merry Christmas. So I'm going to put my top on my ink while I clean this off. Get ready to do the inside sentiment. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to use the greatest part of Christmas stamps, thinking of you. Oh, I decided to use thanks for being one of my greatest gifts. But this does have some really nice sentiments in there. And let me make sure I can read this right here. Kind of hard to read upside down and backwards. We'll bring in our 4x6 piece of plastic sheeting, and thanks for being one of my greatest gifts. Hold that down and ink that up with the copper. Now I can slide this down underneath. I have a piece that's 3.5 by 4 3/4. It's going to slide there and just center that where I like it. And I will put my magnets down. Ink up my stamp again. Okay, that looks good. I do believe we're done with our stamping. So we're going to bring in the images that we stamped, and here is where you see why I had you stamp it upside down. We're going to punch these out. Get our little one. So we have our ornaments. We'll bring in the rest of our stuff that we have. Be careful not to touch this. It might still be a little bit wet, and you might want to twist it off. Don't pull it off. Okay, here's the rest of our items from our kit. Find your groove in your thick berry vanilla, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Fold away, and then crease it with your bone folder. That's ready to decorate. Now we have some images to go in the front. Go ahead, and this is for the inside. We'll put that aside for now. This goes on the front as well. So we can go ahead and put our DSP, which is measures. Do I have it here? I guess not. 4 by 5 1/4. 4 by 5 1/4, and that DSP is the Brightly Gleaming DSP on page 31 of the 2019 Christmas catalog, where you'll also find our bundle, the Christmas Gleaming bundle, and you save 10% if you purchase them together. So I'm going to put this on with some Snail. And I'm not going to put the other part on yet because I need to put the ribbon on. I may go ahead and put the inside sentiment in. We have a piece of Night of Navy cardstock, 3 3/4 by 5. We'll put this on top of that, our sentiment. Be careful not to rub over the sentiment because it's probably still a little wet. That's going to go on the inside. Alrighty, and now let's work on the focal point of the card, which is this part here. Now I have a piece of the copper metallic paper, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then on top of that I have a piece of old Night of Navy, which is 3 by 4, and I've run this through the subtle folder, the subtle embossing folder. Now you're going to see that it's going to meet on this right edge and then have even spacing on the other 3. And I'm going to use some glue because I want to be able to position that right up against the edge of the cardstock. Let me make sure I'm in camera here. Don't get too close to the edge with your glue. You definitely don't want to get glue on your copper metallic paper. And I'm going to match those edges up perfectly. Even spacing on the ends. Okay, that looks good. And see, the glue is good because you can move it around just a little bit, just enough to make a difference. Okay, we're going to give that just a moment to solidify and dry so that it doesn't move around on us. And you can see we're going to put our ornaments here, and then we're going to put our ribbon around it. And it looks like the ribbon is about 3/4 of an inch from the top. So I think that might be dry just enough. It's still a little wet, I'll be careful. So 3/4 of an inch from the top. You want to put some adhesive there to give your ribbon something to dig into when you bring it around the edge. So we're going to take, this is the reversible ribbon, Old Navy, not Old Olive. I always do that. Old Olive, and then Pretty Peacock. It's reversible, and it is 9 inches. Actually, that's for the ribbon. That's for the bow. The one to wrap around the cardstock is 5 inches. Sorry about that. I knew that looked wrong. So you can measure, if you want to take a pencil and measure 3/4 of an inch from the top, so that you kind of get a good idea on the back. Just mark with your pencil 3/4 of an inch from the top. That'll tell you where. Now we want one is like a green and one is kind of a blue green. We want the blue green to show, not the Old Olive, but the Pretty Peacock. For this particular project, we want the Pretty Peacock, although the Old Olive is just as pretty. All right, so there's our ribbon, and I guess we can go ahead and put that on the front of our card. At this point, it's going to be not quite a 1/2 inch from the edge, and then even distances from top to bottom, although it looks like it's just a hair closer to the top. So I'm going to get my snail out, put some snail on top of those ribbon ends, and then I'll put my snail here. So we want, it's easier for me to do it this way. We want it about less than 1/2 inch from the edge of the very vanilla, and kind of even top and bottom, but a little less at the top than the bottom. And hopefully that will work for you. I mean, it's just it's a kind of just a guide. You can put it wherever you want it, as long as it's straight. That's the important thing. So before you push it down, look at it straight on and make sure that it looks level to you. And then you can push it down. And then I like to take take your pick tool or your pointy tool and just pick up a glue dot. Keep it as flat as possible. And where my ribbon is going to be, I'm going to stick it underneath there to kind of hold that in place so it doesn't move as much. Now this is going to go, I'm going to tuck that under there, and then I'm going to tuck this under here. Looks like I might have put my glue dot where I needed to tuck, but that's okay. It's still, there's plenty of room still. So I'm going to put those on with some glue dots. And where are my glue dots? So I'm going to stick that right here. So it looks like it's hanging from the ribbon. That's the look I'm going for. I'll put glue dots on this one. And then you're just going to put it right about there. And it looks like I probably should have put one more glue dot there because the bottom of that is sticking up. So I'm just going to slide a glue dot underneath there to hold that down. Now we are going to put our label in place. It's going to go here. And we're going to put that on with some glue dots. I'm not going to put a glue dot near the very edge, just around across the center, especially on the one edge, because there's a difference in the level. It's not quite level there, and I want this to be straight. So it's about 1/8 of an inch from the DSP, 3/8 of an inch from the bottom of the blue, and that's about where it's at. But again, you put it where you think it looks good, and make sure it's level too. That's important. Okay, so we're ready to do our bow, and let me see how I did this bow. I put it on with glue dots. Now since this is a reversible, we're going to do our ribbon a little bit different than just regular tying. So we're going to take the pretty peacock part that's poking up, or facing up, and we're going to make 2 loops like this that are even with the pretty peacock facing up. We're going to take this right one and cross it over that one, just like an X right there. I'm going to take this loop and push it under and back through here. So under, keep it level too, don't let it twist. Through your loop, and then just pull. Don't let your tails come through. You just adjust it. Hold it in the center and adjust your tails as needed. And that's about the size I want. And you can push it here to fluff up make it a little bit more flat. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to trim the ends with my snips. I'm holding it this way, and I'm going to trim at an angle. Flip it around and trim at an angle. Now I have my bow. So whichever way you think looks, it seems to be flatter on this side, so that's going to be the underside. So I'm going to get some glue dots. And these glue dots are pretty strong, as you well know, so I think 2 is going to hold it right where I want it. Just up here, over that ribbon. And there we go. Now all we have left to do is to put our nice rhinestones on. Let me get them out of my bag. So we have 2 of the largest basic rhinestone jewels and 2 of the medium basic rhinestone jewels. And what I did is I took my dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blend, the bullet point, this hard tip point here, and I just colored around it a couple of times, and it comes out this nice beautiful blue color, and it dries pretty quick too. And that way you can have your rhinestones any color that you want. Now the large ones we're going to put in the center just below that little piece at the top, like that. And then these 2 medium ones are going to go here on the sides. Make sure I get that even right there. And then again right there. Now I just realized that is kind of, like you said, I said there's a distance there, so maybe we might do well to put one of our mini dimensionals there underneath, just to keep that from getting kind of flat. So I took one of our mini, not mini dimensionals, this is mini dimensionals, not mini glue dots. I'm going to just slide it underneath there, and now it has some support. And that's a much better thing. I think I'll do one for this one too. That's always a work in progress. I'm sure that this happened to you too. You get ideas and like, oh, I should have done that. All right, so this is going to slide under there just like that. And now it has nice support. It's not going to go flat on me. Clean off my mess. Okay, we are done with our card. This is project number 3 in my Christmas Gleaming Class to Go. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current Class to Go kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.